Hi and welcome. Thank you for joining me today. I'm excited to introduce you to Victoria Rubio. She is a success and leadership coach who focuses on helping women eradicate lives of scarcity and lack and teaches them ways to rewire their brain program through proven practices that achieve lasting abundance and success in their lives. As a single mom of seven, she left a toxic relationship and a low paying career and decided to choose abundance and success and leave lack and scarcity behind forever. Since then, she has established a successful success coaching business and founded a second business, VR Success Services, a career and business advancement, which is an agency that specializes in professional services to help their clients stand out as leaders in their industries so they can advance their careers and businesses exponentially. Victoria's professional background is in social work, psychology, and English, and her roots in personal advancement are embedded in her social worker roles. She has made it her ultimate mission to help those ready to transform their lives to overcome their perceived limitations and offer them winning strategies to stand out, reach their highest potential, and achieve the lives of their dreams. Wow, that's a lot that you've got going on, Victoria.
Thank you. That
Thanks for
was
being
awesome.
here.
Thank you for having me. I'm really happy to be here.
Yeah, I look forward to talking to you about some of the things that you've, I don't want to say overcome because you haven't really overcome them. You've lived through them and you've flourished through your experiences, especially starting out with the fact that you were at one point a single mom and in a toxic relationship.
Yes. So that situation actually taught me so much about myself, about where I was really in life, because and now I feel that I have come to such a healing point with that I don't even refer to it as toxic anymore. I refer to it more as expired. It was an expired relationship in my life, and um I have zero ill feelings now about everything that manifested in that situation. And I really recognized that it was where I was at in life. And interestingly enough, before I got into that relationship, I thought I was in a different level of healing. I had healed through so much, and I had you know gone through so much, and I was in a helping role position. And um so it's almost like, I think many of us experiences where we feel that our work is done with that, and then here comes, the universe, God saying, no, it's not. Let me show you why. And there was so much that I learned from that. But it's also so much I needed for myself to actually re-empower myself and um, create life on purpose for me. And so as crazy as it sounds, I'm still very grateful. I'm extremely grateful that I went through that I went through everything that I've been through, that I learned, readjusted, persevered, kept going, and now I can look back in a very positive light at everything that has occurred and brought me here today. And that was a big part of that. So,
Yes, I hear you, and I agree with you too. And we're going to talk about gratitude, I know, today in our conversation, and that's a big part of how you look back at things. And I want to say that, I maybe as I started our interview off with that, the reason is because I think that that's one of those things that I love when I'm listening to biographies and I'm learning from people is understanding that we all come from places that have ultimately served us, even though at the time we didn't feel like we were being served very well. But we see now that it's really brought us, everything that's ever happened has brought us to this very moment.
yes, yes, it was. Um, so I look at everything that way. And it's sometimes very difficult for people to look back at something that, especially if it's something that you can look at and say that was hurtful. It can be hurtful, but still teach you something that ends up being helpful, right? So it's not to say to take away anything hurtful that happened and to minimize that, because that's not what it's about. It's more about looking at um, the picture after that initial, I guess, mountain that you were climbing, right? And then seeing how are you better off in the position now today? What came from within you that created something for you to thrive from that experience? And that's kind of what I look back as my situations in my life, and how I was able to get through them in a way that I can look back now and assist not only myself but other people with that.
Yeah, exactly. And so one of the things well, actually, what we're going to talk about today is intentional success. And you talk about rewiring your mind for abundance. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Yes. So intentional success is actually the name of my podcast and the what I really focus on in my coaching, because success is always intentional. It can be always intentional. Um, Sometimes it might not feel that way because we may feel that we are at the mercy of whatever is happening to us. Um, but I have learned that everything is happening for us and not just necessarily against us, even when it may feel that way. So you can take everything that is happening in your life and decide what you're going to leave behind and what you're going to gather with you to move forward to where you want to go. But there has to be an intention. So you have to have a destination. So your intention is like your destination. So I intend to go here. Well, then what do? You get in your car, you GPS, you guide, you follow the instructions, you get there, right? You're intentional with where you're going. In the same way in your life, you're intentional with where you want to end up. You have a vision from the beginning, and then that kind of helps create and guide you to get to the intention. So in this case, success. The roadmap, I guess I would say, to success is alignment, right? Aligning with the being that would lead you to your intended destination, right? So it's not just a dream. There's a difference between dreaming about something and then um, desiring something and actually beginning to walk towards something. Sometimes when we dream too much, it may cause a lot of pain within ourselves because we're so separated from our outcome that we're like, how am I going to get there? It just causes more pain than anything. When you're intentional with where it is that you're going, you can create that success for yourself through aligning with your desires instead of just wishing that they were true. I hope that makes sense.
You know what? It makes a lot of sense, and it's probably worth sort of teasing out a little bit more because it is about a journey and it's about a destination. But as soon as you get wherever you're going, there you are again. So it's like it's an ongoing process, but we need to be heading somewhere on purpose or with, like you said, with intention. So I think that's, yeah, very important. And so often we lead our lives just haphazardly, just getting up and just our intention is just to get through to the rest of the day, which doesn't actually get us anywhere on purpose.
No, it doesn't. Many of us just live by default. Um, our brains are programmed from the time we're born, to just create our experience as easy as possible. So not much has to change. So, you don't think about a lot of different things. Sometimes and a good example of this when you're driving sometimes, and this happens to me, I don't know if it happens to you, but when you're driving sometimes and you're thinking about something and you get to your destination and you're like, how did I get here? You just like, it's like you're an autopilot and you go and especially if it's something that you do over and over and over again. So that same thing with your program, whatever you program by default goes as circle or plays over and over and over and over and over and over and over again. And it's not intentional. It's just what happens. So then if you're just going with that program day in, day out, you don't really have, I guess, that control of the car, like where it is that you're going. It's just taking you wherever it's going because that's what's been programmed in you from the beginning of your life, right? So me, I really like to assist people to see that everybody has the power to change, the power to choose, the power to be intentional with where they want to go, the power to achieve, the power to manifest. And it starts with rewiring that program, like starting to introduce a new program into your old program so you can begin to break free of the wheel, the hamster wheel.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, one of the things that comes up for me is even as I was introducing you, and I think that word success tripped me up a few times. And there's probably an underlying reason for that because I remember we're talking like more than 10 years ago, but every time someone would say to me, well, how do you define success? What does success mean to you? I would become quite angry and I'd feel the tenseness in my body and my heart would tighten because I didn't have an answer that I thought would please anyone else. It didn't sound good enough to me. And I found that kept me on on that whole hamster wheel, just not even knowing what success is. So I bet you do a lot of work to help people tease that out.
Yeah, so success is different for everybody. I mean, everybody might have their own personal meaning of success, but I think it depends where you're at with your understanding of things. I think regardless of how you define success, I like to really focus on fulfillment, abundance, and peace. Like if you are in a state of scarcity or lack, you're not going to feel fulfilled, abundant, or peaceful. If you are in a situation where you can't afford your rent, or you can't pay for food, or you can't take care of your family how you want to, you're not going to feel fulfilled, abundant, or peaceful. So these are all, whatever success means to you will bring you fulfillment, abundance, and peace. So I do work with my clients to see how it is, what would it take for them to feel fulfilled, abundant, and peaceful. And regardless of how they may define success with words, when you have those feelings and that state of being, then I feel that it encompasses success for almost everybody.
Yeah, I agree. That's very well put. And I think it's important to know that it will change too, our definition of success. And let's add freedom into that mix, because we're in the Freedom Rising retreat
Yes.
right now, because all of these things bring us freedom of the weight that we're carrying, of the dark and dismal stories that we've come to believe in ourselves, and see something new, and freedom to become that which we are meant to be, not supposed to be.
Yes. Freedom to be powerful, freedom to be intentional. I think especially as women, I mean, I don't know, there's many different upbringings and things, but we a lot of times get stuck in roles, what it is that we need to be, or who we need to become in order to be accepted in whatever we're doing in life. And we lose that freedom, we lose that power, we lose that sense of success, personal success, that brings us a fulfillment, that personal abundance, and peacefulness. And with that comes such a sense of freedom to recognize that it's yours to have. You can be successful on your own terms. You can be free to be who you want to be, not who you were told to be. So that's a big part of success, definitely.
Hmm. And so let's talk about someone who's not feeling free, not feeling fulfilled, actually is in that place where they're living with scarcity and lack. How do they make that shift? How do they begin to rewire their brain from that circumstance and in that state?
So, I mean, that's a huge loaded question. But I would say for me, one of the biggest life changers ever is beginning where you're at, presently speaking, with gratitude. So starting to recognize, presently speaking, what it is that you can be thankful for, not only what, but why. Because really alignment is getting you in as close as possible to where all of your desires live, where all of that your destination is, so closer to that road, right? And if you think about, for example, if somebody has an intended destination, initial one, because there's many, like you said earlier, but intended destination of creating financial wealth. Well, that being financially wealthy comes with a being. So whether it's a lifestyle, or so how would that person be? So then getting closer to that, like it's, so then getting back to gratitude in the present. If you're always focused on what you can't afford, or what you can't, or what you don't have, and so it takes you, you're not grateful, obviously you're not going to be feeling grateful about that if that's what you're focused on, you're thinking about. So focusing on the things that even at this particular moment you may be able to do. So I'm thankful that I can pay my hydro bill. I'm thankful and grateful that I have enough to feed my family. I'm grateful. That's how I started.
Okay.
That's what I focused on. I would literally get in my car if I was having a really hard day, and I would get in my car, and let's say I didn't know I was going to pay anything that month. Okay. I've been there. So I would get in my car and I would start thinking of things that I was grateful for. Okay, I'm grateful that I could pay the rent this month, and I know that I'm I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm going to be able to feed my children. I'm thankful for that. So every step of the way, becoming thankful opened me up to receiving so much more to be thankful for every step of the way. So I always encourage the beginning steps, and not only beginning, I mean, this could take you so far, but starting there. And I even do this with my own children. We were actually talked about it this morning in the car, about being thankful and grateful, and how and what that does to you, and how it creates these happy hormones, and how so it brings you to the present, whatever you're experiencing, whether it, whatever, however hard it may be, finding something to be grateful for and truly feeling it connects you to that road where you want to go, where you want to actually reach your destination, aligning with it. That's a really good way. Now, of course, it takes practice. You can't just be, get up and be like, I'm thankful. Eventually it becomes a part of you. Like me, when I can tell you that I'm thankful, like I feel it, like my whole body almost gets like tingly when I get super thankful. Like it grounds me and makes me feel so peaceful no matter what's happening, right? Now it's just become like second nature. That's the first thing I do when I get up. I'm thankful. But so that's one of the first ways that I would tell somebody, if you want to get started into shifting that program, gratitude is a huge thing. Like I have a whole gratitude challenge because it's so important, right?
Yeah. Yeah, gratitude. In the one of the last or one of the previous Unwind Your Mind retreats, we had a whole interview just on gratitude. And I remember thinking going into it, oh my, like gratitude's a buzzword of the century, right? Gratitude, gratitude. But you could get really creative with gratitude, like saying thanks for dinner last night, mom. I liked it, versus I love how the gravy melted over the potatoes, and the carrots just made it so great, and the way that you served it, and describing in depth about how the dinner was last night. It's much more likely that you're going to get that dinner again, or even a better dinner next time, because you just showed up so eloquently with your gratitude for it, versus just, yeah, hey, thanks for dinner. Look, there's a
Yeah.
science to gratitude. So although I think
Yes.
it sometimes sounds boring, it actually can be really fun.
It can be, especially once you see the power of gratitude, because it literally does help begin to rewire the way that you think, rewire the way that you see things. Your perspective changes, the way that you look at everything around you changes, and you start to see that there is something different that you never noticed before, right? There is more to be grateful for. All of a sudden you'll start, it almost feels like magic, but there is a definite science. What is happening within you every single day that you're practicing, for example, gratitude, it's shifting within you, something in your mind, to look at things instead of with the complaining side, with the scarcity side. You're going to look at it with an abundance side. And that's really what gratitude is about aligning with abundance, aligning with what you do have. That feeling that you get when you're grateful is the same feeling that you will experience every time something great happens, right? So you're just continuing to align with where all your I always say this to my children. It's a really good way to explain it, is where your happy place lives. So we all have like these dreams and visions and desires, and that's like your happy place, right? That's your happy place. But your happy place has a feeling, it has an emotion, it has vibration, right? So the closer you are to your happy every single day, the longer you live there, the longer you stay there, the faster you get to where you want to go. It's very hard to get and stay in your happy place if you're always in a place that's not, right? So there needs to be a connection to get there, and this is a really good way to start.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. Well, no different than working on like your biceps or your muscles, right? You
Yep.
got to practice it, you got to stretch it, you got to be willing to feel a little bit of pain sometimes, knowing that on the other side of it, you'll be that much stronger, and really having the right attitude about it. This is a journey, not a destination. This
Yes.
gratitude and this realignment as
Yeah.
we reset for abundance.
Yes, definitely a journey, because it is not just about um affirmations. Affirmations are great,
Yeah.
but it's more about the being who you become when you feel grateful is way different than who you are when you're feeling not grateful. So it does create a huge shift in your life, like a huge shift. But until you experience it, it's almost like, what do you mean this? Okay, just saying thanks. No, it's not just about saying it. It's about becoming a grateful person. And it does shift everything in your reality
Yeah.
really quickly.
Yeah, I'm glad you really hit home with that last statement too. Like, who are you? So, if you imagine yourself as a vehicle taking you to where you're going next, and the scarcity, sad, lack, limited version of yourself is going to deliver you like a vehicle to wherever its direction is, and you know the direction isn't heading where your happy place is, and then the happy part of you is obviously en route there. So, recognize that when you're in that wrong car, that wrong state of mind, you're actually traveling on a path that you don't really want to be on. It's taking you,
Yeah,
literally taking you somewhere.
it is. We're always going somewhere. And that's why I ended up using intentional. Be intentional with your success. Be intentional with where you want to go. Be intentional with where you want that car to take you. And you are the driver. You can change that. You don't have to just sit there by default and then complain where you're heading or where you end up if you don't have any control of the wheel. So this is what I talk about is you can take control of that wheel. You can take your life back. You can be intentional with where you want to end up.
Yeah, exactly. Now you've got a wonderful gift for us. It's called Rewire Your Brain for Success, and it's a PDF. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah. So I think I mentioned earlier that I do I like to do with someone's like a foundation reset, right? So for anybody wanting to rewire their brain to experience and be open to success, I do a challenge, but I have a workbook that goes with that. And then in there's almost like um, a daily, it's an explanation. It's kind of like a work sheet plus the explanation of how it works and how you can do this every single day. So it'll explain to you how to begin to implement this in your life, to begin to make those changes, and then what to look, what to watch out for, what to see, what to feel, how to recognize when it's actually your mind's beginning to make that shift. Because if you do it over and over and over again, you'll see it very clearly. But that's what I'm giving away. It's Rewire Your Brain for Success foundational freebie. It will help you to begin to establish this on a daily basis to actually begin to make that shift.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your gift, for your time, for your presence, and for the work you're doing to help people live the life of their dreams.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to see all the rest of the speakers as well. So thank you. I appreciate this.
Wonderful. Okay. All the best.
Thanks.